What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to talk about some key levels to watch for as time goes on, what's happening so far to the Tesla share price. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon. So please check out my link down below. There's only 11 days left for the offer. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla stock. As you can tell, we're on a nice uptrend so far. However, there is some tough resistance around this 450 area, and I say that because there were many times where Tesla was fighting right here. So right here we had, this test of 450 here, and here we got like 4 or 5 rejections there, which is why there is going to likely be some consolidation. But I want to see us hold 450 for at least 4 hours to attempt to continue to push for the 455 area. We could attempt to go even higher and get back up to this resistance right here near 455 or close to it. So there is more upside potential if we could hold above this key level. Now, another warning I do have, however, is that the overall market is pushing, but we have to watch resistance, and we're going to see if we get some kind of rejection or not with the bearish divergences forming on SPY and the QQQ. But overall, we'll be watching to see how we end up reacting, and Tesla's still holding up nicely as there's some upside potential. Now, there was some news that came out. The UK sales, based off their registrations in November, they showed about a 19% decline to about 3,784. So a bit of a decline in the UK and many European countries' sales. And there's been a lot of talk about how, Tesla could be adjusting prices in Europe or taking other actions to try to help their sales improve. So that's what we're seeing, at least thus far. That's like the main thing about Tesla news that I haven't gone over already. Now, when it comes to more data, today is Thursday, December 4th. We got initial jobless claims at 191,000. And then continuing jobless claims was very close to expectations. Not too bad. And then we just have some bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. left. And that's pretty much it for our data. There's not really much else coming out for today. On top of this, the ADP data showed a decline of 32,000 jobs, and we also saw a overall flat number for initial jobless claims, which tells us that the jobs numbers are kind of weak, and that right now the market's pricing an 89% chance of us getting a cut. Besides that, Salesforce blew past its earnings expectations, which is great news for them. They also saw their overall revenue up 330%. Jensen Huang is also, he's returned to Washington, D.C. to meet up with President Trump to discuss the chip export restrictions. That's another important piece of news, but that's pretty much it, at least for now. We also had our Treasury Secretary saying that he wants to see the U.S. cut interest rates more. And on top of that, he talked about progress between the U.S. and China and their trade deals, at least in his opinion. Um, Besides that, there's not really much else on the news. We just had Dollar General announce its earnings, and there's not really much else. But Dollar General basically raised their full year outlook, so it's bullish, at least for now. So good news for them as the share price is doing well. Now, for Tesla stock, okay, if we end up losing, by the way, 444, we could decline to 440. But if we break 450, we're looking for 455 next. I believe that 450 is going to be a tough resistance, and there may be some consolidation over here between 444 and 450. But then as time goes on, we could attempt to go for 455 if this continues to test the next resistance above, if we could hold above 450 on the 4-hour time frame. So that's what I'm seeing for Tesla, a little bit of consolidation, then an attempt to go up for 455. You could see that this is where the resistance happens to be. And if we break that, we will continue to squeeze close to 460. So I think we're going to be testing 450. We might consolidate for some time around there before we try to go higher. Tesla looks more bullish for now, as long as 444 does not break. So for now, the bulls have a bigger edge. Look for some consolidation near 450. And then we'll see if Tesla could break that to continue this push for the mid 450s. On SPY, we're looking bullish. We're pushing towards resistance. However, I do want to give you guys a warning because we basically touched near 685 and then rejected back in October to November. In mid-November, we touched 685, then we got this big rejection. And now we're testing 685, but there is a bearish divergence. So if we break this, we will be going higher, and we're going for all-time highs if we just hold above, I would say 686, hold 686 for 4 hours, then we're going for all-time highs. We're just going to continue to squeeze. But if we reject here, if this bearish divergence pans out, we could be looking for a decline back down towards 675 to fill the gap. So we're at resistance. Do we just break out or do we reject? We will have to be very patient with this. We're going to see if we get a rejection right here or not. So watch this resistance. This is a make or break moment for SPY. And we are looking at decent right now, but watch and see if we get a rejection, the 685s. This is going to be a tough resistance, so we'll see how it goes. For the QQQ, we're pushing, but keep in mind that here we touched 625 and rejected. We touched 625 and rejected. Now we're going to be touching this again. We're also watching to see if this is like a left shoulder head, and if we're about to form a right shoulder and reject and then bounce or not. 625 will be a tough resistance. If we break this, we could be going for 630 to fill the gap. There's a gap over here to fill if we break 625 and hold above it for 4 hours. But if we can't break the 625s, if we get a rejection, we could return back down towards 613. So watch that very closely. We're at some tough resistance. Also for SPY, we have a left shoulder, a head, and then we're going to see if we form a right shoulder or not. Could this be a trap or do we do it? Watch this resistance at 685 and we'll see how it goes. On the IW, we have a bearish divergence. We need to hold above 250 to continue to push to 252. If we don't, we could be declining back down to 247. On ES, we're bullish. We're looking for an attempt for 6880. But if we have to break 6,900 to remain bullish, if we can't, we could push and then reject. So it depends. Can we break 6,900 to continue? I do see some upside potential on ES to 6880, and we'll see if it breaks. 25,800 is where the main resistance is on NQ. As we push a bit higher, do we reject here to form that right shoulder? Do we just keep going? So be careful. Bitcoin's starting to reject here. It does favor a move back down to 91,550 to 90,000, and we'll see if it bounces. And for Tesla, we're kind of consolidating around 450, and we'll see if we break or not. But overall, I do expect some consolidation before potentially breaking out for 450. Nvidia is going to retest 182 to 184, and we'll see if we reject or not, but there is some upside potential. Apple's going to likely be tipping to 282. Palantir is looking a bit more bullish. It's now, as long as we're above 174, we're going to be favoring essentially 180. AMD is consolidating. We have not broken 220 to be bullish yet. We're just consolidating right here around 217. It may continue to consolidate, and we'll see if it rejects. There's still some weakness unless we get back above 220. Coinbase is favoring 267 to 269. Amazon's holding above 231. We need to hold this to bounce back up to 235. We need to break 230 to be bearish, but it looks like it wants to bounce for 234. Meta is breaking out, at least right now. I think we had some bullish news that just came out, and we could be looking for an attempt for closer to 700 if this continues. If we reject, though, near 689 to 700, we could turn back down for 666, but overall, we look more bullish. Google is testing resistance at 322. If that breaks, we continue. If not, we could be turning back down to 318. And then Microsoft is making lower highs. We need to hold 484. If we don't, we could be turning back down to the 470s. The VIX is on a downtrend. Are we going to see this falling wedge pan out? Do we bounce near the 15s, or does this just continue to collapse? We'll be watching that very closely. SPY and the QQQ are at resistance. This is a make or break moment. We have to either reject here or continue to bounce. So we'll see how it goes as we're testing some tough resistance. So with that being said, expect a little bit of consolidation on Tesla at 450. And if we break that, we could be looking for 455 next. There is upside potential, but I think we consolidate first before anything. So keep that in mind. Thank you all for listening, and peace out.